What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash. Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some even more WWE news for you guys, including the latest on the status of the NXT announced team, which you guys know consists of Mauro Ranallo, wrestling legend Nigel McGuinness, and of course Hall of Famer Beth Phoenix, as well as something that actually intrigues me is the fact that could WWE work on bringing fans into their performance center shows, and also the latest on the big enchiladas, the fact that WWE 2K21 is not going to happen, and what will be the future of NXT UK and WWE's Saudi Arabia shows. So we kick this off with WWE 2K21 being cancelled. Big shoutouts to Andy Murray from What Culture for the first three articles I'll be talking about in today's video. This actually this is a game. I know that this is a WWE and YuGiOh channel, but WWE 2K21 is kind of WWE. So here is the article. It's official. WWE 2K21 has been canceled. WWE confirmed the news themselves during yesterday's Q1 2020 earnings call, and I swear these ads are fucking pathetic. Following on from game writer Justin Leeper's claims earlier in the week that the latest installment of WWE 2K games maligned franchise was off. Interim Chief Financial Officer Frank Riddick was specifically asked about the game during the call, saying that it would be released in 2020, though he didn't provide a reason. Riddick was also unable to confirm Leeper's claims that a new WWE game was in development and planned to be released by year's end, though it's thought that the project will come from a different developer. Plans to release WWE 2K22 in 2021 remain in place at the time of writing, and an announcement on the 2K franchise future is to be made on Monday. So WWE Games sent out a tweet saying saying that they'll be sharing the details about what's going on Monday, so it'll be this coming Monday. WWE 2K20 experienced one of the most disastrous launches in recent gaming history last year, as a bug-riddled, barely playable product was slaughtered by fans and critics alike. Here's hoping that those involved have learned their lesson and that the franchise benefits from this temporary hiatus, and that this year's replacement game will be a more satisfying experience. Okay, so when WWE 2K20 was released, or rather was announced, it was actually said to be the most hyped game of all time in the history of WWE gaming. I think the second, if I remember correctly, the second highest most anticipated WWE game in history was, I think, WWE 12? I believe so. I think it was WWE 12, because they no longer, because they didn't do SmackDown versus Raw, you know, like they did in the past. So I think, was it, or was the, maybe it was 2K17. I don't remember, but it was an older game. I don't remember. If you guys do know the second most hyped game of WWE game of all time, let me know in the comments below. Because I'm very curious. Actually, you know what? Question of the day. That's gonna be the question of the day. What was the most hyped WWE video game of all time? Let me know in the comments below. And you cannot say WWE 2K20. It has to be 2K19 and earlier. But yeah, so speaking of 2K20, it was actually one of the most glitchy games of all time, because of the fact that if you played if you played, like, say, as Baron Corbin, let's just say that, the game, the graphics would just be all over the place, and superstars would be on top of fans, on top of commentary. It was that glitchy. It was that glitchy. I'm sure as hell glad I'm sure as hell glad that I don't have a PS4 as of yet, but that was it was brutal. As far as 2K21 goes, it's as far as 2K22 goes, supposedly it's still going to be a go, but I believe the roster, I think what they're gonna do. But I believe what they're going to do is, I think they're going to have the entire WWE. I'm talking about superstars from Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, NXT, and NXT UK. So obviously we'll be seeing, hang on guys. Hold on guys. There we go. Sorry guys, I actually just received a text. It's nothing personal. It's nothing too crazy. Anyway, so I think that's what's gonna happen. So with the next game, you could definitely expect to see Jordan Devlin, obviously Brock Lesnar. I think Gallus will be in there. I believe Imperium will be there. Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, everybody that you see. That you see now are going to be in that game. Superstars like Rusev, Sarah Logan, I believe they're going to be taken out of that game. I'm not entirely sure, but if you guys want to learn more about it, I believe you guys can check out WWE Games on Twitter, I believe. Alright, you guys, so the big question is WWE canceling their return to Saudi Arabia this year? And the answer to that question is most likely, because if I can there we go. So again, big shout outs to Andy Murray. It sounds like WWE may not be returning to Saudi Arabia in 2020. WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon and Interim Chief Financial Officer Frank Riddick, we actually just did that, spoke on the matter during yesterday's Q1 2020 earnings call, stating that the ongoing global health crisis means the country may not be able to guarantee WWE their planned Q4 date. WWE had previously hoped to stage another event in Saudi Arabia in November. Vince McMahon states that a December show could be run instead. Though it all depends on how the global situation progresses. WWE's last Saudi Arabia show was back in February at Super Showdown, and I believe, let me see if I remember correctly. Yeah, so I believe that was where we saw Mansoor defeat Dolph Ziggler, where we saw Bayley cheat to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship against Naomi, and where we also saw The Undertaker replace Rey Mysterio in the Tuwaiq Mountain Gauntlet match when he pinned AJ Styles, and then also where we saw Goldberg pin The Fiend Bray Wyatt to become Universal Champion, which was actually February 27th. Wow, really? Wow, that far back? Damn. Being forced to describe 2020's second event in Saudi Arabia in November. Okay, seriously, this laptop, I swear I cannot catch a break with these ads. You know what? What culture? If you guys are watching this, you gotta stop with the ads. I get it, you're trying to make money with the ads, but you gotta stop it. Okay. Here we go. Being forced to describe 2020's second event wouldn't wouldn't result in a loss of revenue. However, as Vince confirmed that the good part of all this is that they'd be able to track the event onto the end of their 10-year contract. It effectively acts as a postponement rather than a full-on cancellation. With regards to a TV rights deal in Saudi Arabia, Vince McMahon said that he thought a deal would have been struck by now, and that things are moving slowly, with WWE unable to clarify when it might be settled. So, because of what's been going on in the world, unfortunately, you guys know WWE can't host shows in places like Detroit and Brooklyn and here in California. They have to host all of their shows not just at Full Sail Live regarding with NXT, but also at the Performance Center in Orlando with Raw, SmackDown, and 205 Live. In terms of NXT UK, I believe former NXT UK ring announcer, now turned commentator, Andy Shepherd, I believe he is now hosting an NXT UK, but I believe he's giving us like a bit of a I guess a flashback, if you will, of some of the best matches that we had in the history of NXT UK. Like, I remember last year. Did I do that one? No, I did not, actually. Really? Did I? Really? I didn't. Oh, wow. I did not do that one. I don't have it in my book. That's kind of funny. I actually find that really hilarious. I think. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So Takeover War Games was the first time that I started putting in my takeovers. Okay. So obviously, he showed us Takeover Cardiff last year, where we saw Tyler Bate challenge Walter for the NXT UK Championship. It was a hard fought match, of course. Too, you guys know, Walter took that W, and yeah, that was it was a brutal one. My thoughts on it, I think. So we know that WWE did sign a 10-year deal with Saudi Arabia. Like, I think it was a couple. I think it was wasn't it a couple years ago? I think so. I think it was a couple years ago, back in 2018, where we had the first Saudi Arabian show, which I believe was the Greatest Royal Rumble. Yeah. So it was the Greatest Royal Rumble, and then in November, I think we had Crown Jewel or something like that. But because of this pandemic, because of what's been going on right now, WWE hasn't been able to do anything with their shows. However, I believe however, according to the CDC, we found out supposedly that this pandemic, that this virus, if you will, actually has an attraction to the cold. So by the time the summer starts, which is supposed to be like in June, this will all blow over. The virus will end. However, the CDC has stated that it'll come back in the winter. So we will be prepared, but who knows? Who knows what can happen? WWE has lost a lot of talent, a lot of backstage people. But yeah, so for them to cancel their Saudi Arabia shows this year, I think it's great. I think it's a great idea. They'll be able to finally work on some other projects that they have. Like right now, the next pay-per-view that we have is actually going to be Money in the Bank. And supposedly hang on a second. Alright, there we go. And supposedly, I think they're going to start the shows again sometime next year. So I honestly can't wait to see what WWE is able to do once this pandemic blows over. Alright, you guys. Now the big question is: NXT UK, is their future in jeopardy? So right now, you guys know we have such amazing talent on NXT UK. We have Ginny, we have Tyler Bate, we got Walter, we got Gallus, we got Jordan Devlin, who is the current NXT Cruiserweight Champion. We have Ligero, Ashton Smith, Travis Banks, Alexander Wolf, Fabian Eichner, Marcel Barthel, literally all 4 members of Imperium, Trent Seven, Tony Storm, so many people. And apparently, and this article, again, big shout outs to Andy Murray for this article. NXT UK's future remains in the balance as WWE navigates the increasingly difficult global health crisis through cost cutting and downsizing. A brief note in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter states that while only Cash's owner has been cut from the British products roster thus far, nobody is certain on the British products status at the moment. This is understandable, given that NXT UK has always been a money-losing brand that was only ever established to counter ITV's long-dead World of Sport product, damaging the national independent scene in the process. The United Kingdom's lockdown restrictions make it impossible for WWE to produce new NXT UK content at this time. Batch tapings like those underway in Florida aren't an option, and the promotion has run out of fresh footage, leaving them no choice but to air clip shows interspersed with talking heads. Last night's broadcast saw them air the wonderful Tyler Bate vs. Walter clash from Takeover Card. Yeah, so I just talked about that in the last article. How WWE will handle the NXT UK situation will be interesting to follow, as the brand currently faces months on the sidelines. We'll keep you updated on this story as it develops. So if you guys want more info on this, and you guys are a fan of NXT UK like I am, be sure to go to whatculture.com/WWE, and it will give you everything you need to know about what's been going on in WWE and what's been going on in the world. Honestly, though, NXT UK has been such an amazing brand. It's been so incredible over the last few years since it started all the way back in 2017, I think it was, where Tyler Bate defeated his bitter rival turned best friend Pete Dunne to become the first ever WWE United Kingdom champion. Of course, too, at Takeover Chicago, we saw Pete Dunne take the title from Tyler Bate. Thus, he became one of the most incredible superstars we have ever seen ever by holding on to the title for 685 days. And it's incredible to know that the talent on NXT UK is so incredible. I mean, again, think of exactly who you have on the roster. You got Ginny, Tony Storm, Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, Ashton Smith, Ligero, Mark Andrews, Flash Morgan Webster, Jordan Devlin. Who else can I name? Imperium, Gallus, Oliver Carter, new talent like Eva Valkyrie, and also to Nina Samuels as well. A lot of these guys and girls have so much potential to not only go into NXT here in the US, but also go into the main roster and showcase to the world what British wrestling is all about. Like, I don't think we have a whole lot of British superstars on the main roster. I don't think so. I honestly don't know. I usually don't keep up with that, but yeah. So yeah, I think it's incredible to know that NXT UK is still giving us content, but it remains to be seen as to what we can expect. Anyway, guys, how are we doing on time? Alright, so we're doing okay. We're doing okay on time. So now I'm going to be talking about WWE working on bringing fans into their performance center shows. Big shout outs to Wrestle Talk for this article. And if I can, I swear these ads are so stupid. Here we go. While there have been many changes to wrestling since the outbreak of the pandemic, the most obvious is, of course, the empty arena shows, which have now been going on for nearly 2 months. While the likes of WWE, and AEW have done their best to work around this issue, the common opinion is that the lack of atmosphere has negatively affected the shows. However, according to Vince McMahon, WWE is currently working on a way to get fans into the Orlando Performance Center shows in the near future. Speaking during yesterday's investors call, Vince said, quote, yes, we're looking at that. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if it's 6 feet apart and everyone's tested beforehand. If anyone can know how to do it, it is us. He also said he did also say that the lack of fans had nothing to do with the falling ratings, but contradiction is fine, I suppose. It's clear that WWE is desperate to get fans in to watch their shows, but it would be a logistical nightmare. Testing fans before they enter, making sure they stand far enough apart, and banning everyone from coughing is pretty much impossible. Vince seems confident, however, so we'll just have to see what his plans are. Being best friends with the president could help. Yeah, so you guys know Vince McMahon and our current our president of the U.S., Donald Trump, have been friends for a while, which dated back to WrestleMania 4 when they announced that it was going to invade Trump Plaza in Jersey, as did WrestleMania 5. Honestly, though, I think it would have been honestly for me personally, I think it would be wise to keep the fans away from the Performance Center shows because of this pandemic, they're risking the health of the fans, and they're also risking the health of their superstars and their commentators as well. So it's not. I just don't think it's worth it. Anyway, guys, now for the status on the NXT announce team. So we know that Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips, who do the Raw shows, have been filling in on the NXT announce team as of late. And this is, and I'm actually reading the article as well. Normally, the commentary team is comprised of Mauro Ranallo, Nigel McGuinness, and Hall of Famer Beth Phoenix. However, the pandemic has caused changes to be made. Dave Meltzer reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that McGuinness and Phoenix are both staying home as they have young children. Here's the quote. Quote, Nigel McGuinness and Beth Phoenix are both still with the company because of concern with the virus, and both McGuinness and Phoenix having young children and not wanting to quarantine for 2 weeks. Neither are working right now. This is interesting considering Edge is the husband of Beth Phoenix and he competed at WrestleMania. Meanwhile, Mauro Ranallo has been off the show due to living in California. It is unknown when any of them will rejoin the show, but it would seem likely that it will not be until the pandemic has passed, which again could potentially be in sometime between June and August. So it'll be right in. So it'll probably. So this whole thing will probably end right in the middle of the summer because of the fact that the CDC has stated, or rather scientists for that matter, have stated that this pandemic, that this virus, if you will, is attracted to the cold, and because that we're supposed to be getting more cold sometime next week, and because that the heat that we're now getting some heat, you know, all the way into the weekend and into sometime and into a little bit of next week, we could see this pandemic end in sometime in May or June, which is a possibility, but you never know. You never know. The most recent episode of NXT featured the start of the NXT Cruiserweight Championship tournament. The show saw Jake Atlas defeat Drake Maverick, Kushida beat Tony Nese, and El Hijo del Fantasma topped Jack Gallagher. So obviously we know that both Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton came from NXT. Actually, truth be told, Byron Saxton has been on WWE for 10 years, dating back to when he was a part of the ECW commentary, I think with Josh Matthews, if I remember correctly. Now Josh is on TNA, but honestly though, this is absolutely incredible. I think to be honest, you know what? I don't know. I think having both Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips on NXT until this pandemic bullshit is over, I think it's great, because now they're now able to go back into their roots, and and actually be able to remember, if you will, where exactly where they came from. But you know what? But with everything that has been going on, my heart goes out to those who had lost friends and loved ones from this pandemic. It's heartbreaking. But guys, with that being said, that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about all these articles. And again, question of the day: what was the most hyped WWE video game of all time that is 2K19 and early? Let me know in the comments below. And that's gonna do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash the thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My links are down in the description below. And I know that I did put this on hold, but if you guys have any fan mail that you want to send me, my address will be in the description below as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.